You ever sat in a room full of people and realized you're the only one not in on the joke? That was me, Thursday night, in my own damn dining room. A glass of red wine in my hand, the rim still faintly smudged with Leona's lipstick, though she'd barely touched hers. Her voice filled the room, bright and sharp like broken glass catching light. Everyone was laughing, the kind of laughter that makes you feel like you should laugh too, or else you're the one being weird. And then she said it. Brandon? He's basically my roommate. No, worse. Like a neighbor. You know, the kind who keeps the place clean, waters the plants, always polite, but no spark, no danger, no heat. I blinked. She leaned in toward the group with a performative grin and added the part that hit like a slap in the face. Basically, I married my favorite neighbor lady. The whole table erupted, forks clinked against plates. Someone actually slapped the table. I think it was Jenna. Even Michael laughed. That little half-laugh he does, the one where he tilts his head and looks down like he's trying to hide how much he's enjoying himself. I looked around the room like a man who'd just been pantsed in public and was checking if anyone had noticed. Spoiler, they had. They just didn't care. Leona was glowing. You ever seen someone get high off attention? That was her. She fed off it, like she had a needle full of validation stuck straight into her vein. It didn't matter that the joke was at my expense. Hell, maybe that made it better. And me? I smiled. Or tried to. That automatic survival smile you wear like a bandage. My teeth clenched behind it. My throat tightened around the words I wasn't saying. But inside, something cracked. Not loud, not dramatic, just click, like a lock or a trigger. Michael leaned a little closer to her as the conversation moved on. He didn't need permission anymore. She'd already given it, right there in the open. And I just sat there. Because I was the good husband, the polite one, the safe one, the guy who brought in her dry cleaning, who folded the towels just right, who stocked her favorite wine without being asked, the neighbor lady. And for the first time I wondered if that's all she ever saw me as. After that night, things didn't go back to normal. Not for me. Leona acted like it was nothing, like calling your husband a neighbor lady in front of half your friends and a not-so-secret admirer was just part of the bit. She even replayed it a few days later, retelling it to her sister over speakerphone while I was unloading the dishwasher like some loyal golden retriever. No, you should have seen their faces. Michael nearly choked on his drink. And Brandon? Poor thing, he just froze. I was like, relax, babe, it's a joke. A joke? Sure. Except I was the punchline. And somehow that became the new normal. Suddenly, the jokes kept coming, not just in front of others, but in quiet moments too. While brushing her hair at the vanity, she'd smirk and say, "Could you be a dear and fold the laundry? You're so good at it. Honestly, you were probably a housewife in a past life." Or when she'd leave for another work event, already dressed to kill in heels and a lipstick color I hadn't seen in months. "Don't wait up, Brandon. Go read one of your little novels. Maybe light a candle." It wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it. Like she knew I wouldn't say anything back. Like she knew I wouldn't fight her. And I didn't. Not at first. Because part of me still thought maybe I was overreacting. That maybe this was just a rough patch. That she'd snap out of it. Remember who I was to her. Who we were. But then came the withdrawals. Not the kind that leave visible bruises, but the slow, silent ones. The absence of touch, the absence of warmth, the avoidance of eye contact. She started going to bed later than me, spending more time on calls. Her phone, once casually tossed on the kitchen counter, was now glued to her hand like a lifeline, face down, locked, buzzing just a little too often. She stopped kissing me goodnight. She stopped noticing me altogether, and I started noticing everything. There's a specific kind of silence that sets in when something's wrong between two people, but neither one wants to admit it yet. It's not quiet. Not really. It's filled with buzzing phones, utensils scraping plates, doors closing a little too firmly, and polite good mornings that sound like they were written by HR. That was us. A married couple playing roommates, or neighbors, I guess, if you go by Leona's new favorite word. It started subtly. She laughed more at texts than at my jokes. She always held her phone at an angle, just enough that I couldn't see the screen, even when she was just watching memes. The screen time report on her phone suddenly didn't show up on our shared iCloud summary anymore. Turned off, just like that. One night, I came into the living room with 2 cups of tea, because that's who I am apparently, the tea fairy, and saw her lying on the couch, phone hovering above her face, smiling. A real smile, soft, playful, girlish, the kind I hadn't seen directed at me in months. She didn't hear me come in, but I caught one word before the screen blacked out. Michael. Just a whisper, like the message was still hanging in the air, unfinished. Everything okay? I asked, pretending to be casual. She jumped, like a kid caught with a cigarette. Oh, yeah, just talking to Jenna. Jenna. The married mom of 2 who called me Sweet Brandon and only texted in all caps. Sure. I handed her the tea. She barely noticed. Then came the missed calls. One night, I saw Michael A. light up her screen when she left the phone in the bathroom. Just one ring before it stopped. I stared at it. I stared so long I forgot I was holding a toothbrush. Michael A. Not Work Michael or Michael Office, just Michael. With a period at the end of his name, like she had to finish the sentence. Later that week, I asked her directly, "You and Michael seem close." She barely looked up from her laptop. "We work together. It's called having coworkers. You should try it sometime." I ignored the jab. "I just noticed you 2 talk a lot, that's all." She sighed, like she was already bored of this. "Brandon, don't be that guy. Don't start getting weird and controlling. It's unattractive." Unattractive. There it was again. That constant subtext. You're not the man I want, so don't embarrass yourself trying. I nodded and said nothing, but something inside me clicked. Same as before. Same sound, like a lock turning in the back of my head. This time I didn't shove it down. This time I started watching. There's a moment in every betrayal story where the fool stops being the fool. Not because he suddenly gets brave, not because someone hands him the truth. No, because one day he just gets tired of being lied to badly. I hit that moment on a Tuesday. Leona had left for a work dinner, wearing a black dress I hadn't seen in over a year, the one with the low back and the heels that made her 2 inches taller and 20 times more dangerous. She didn't kiss me goodbye. She barely looked at me as she grabbed her keys. "Don't wait up," she said over her shoulder. "It might run late. Michael's driving." Pause. I didn't flinch, didn't ask questions, didn't even breathe too loud. Just nodded and smiled. Have fun. And that's when I knew I was done pretending. I didn't follow her, didn't bug her car, didn't put on a hoodie and sunglasses like some cliché husband in a thriller. I opened my laptop instead. You'd be amazed what you can do with a little curiosity and a shared Wi-Fi account, especially when you've been the household IT guy for the last 7 years. I had access to our router logs, her devices, backup data from the cloud, things she never even realized were syncing. The first thing I checked, her messages. Not texts, she wasn't that stupid, but Instagram, Slack, WhatsApp. She was all over them, and she had never logged out of the desktop versions on our shared home computer. Classic. At first, it was innocent, jokes, inside office stuff. Then the tone shifted. "Michael A. Can't wait to see you tonight. I need that smile of yours in my passenger seat." "That smile's already yours." "Still pretending at home?" "Barely. He's sweet, but just so boring, like living with a fern. Quiet, harmless, predictable. Predictable, funny. That's what I used to think was my strength. Stability, loyalty, safety. The things women say they want until someone with abs and a leased Audi tells them otherwise. There were more messages, flirty ones, explicit ones, photos, hotel bookings under her name. It wasn't just emotional. It wasn't just a fling. It was real. And I had all of it. Screenshots, PDFs, folders, no confrontation, no rage, just files, truths, and a growing silence inside me. the kind that comes before the storm. That night when she got home, I was already in bed, lights off. She slipped in quietly, thinking I was asleep. I felt the bed shift under her weight, felt her turn her back to me without a word. She didn't know. She had no idea. And in that moment, I smiled. Not because I forgave her, not because I was okay, but because I finally knew who I was sleeping next to. Not a wife, not a partner, just a stranger who thought I was still a fern. She was wrong. Ferns don't fight back, but I do. The thing about being underestimated for too long, eventually it becomes your greatest weapon. Leona had spent so much time painting me as the harmless apron-wearing neighbor that she forgot I was also the man who did our taxes, managed our passwords, organized every photo and bill we ever had. She thought she was hiding secrets. I was cataloging them. For the first time in months, I felt awake. The next morning, I made her coffee. Her usual, black, no sugar, splash of oat milk. She walked into the kitchen in her robe, scrolled through her phone, didn't say a word. Took the cup and left. No thanks, no eye contact. Perfect. While she sipped, I backed up every message between her and Michael. Not just the obvious ones. No, I pulled metadata, timestamps, locations, the hotel check-ins, the Uber receipts she forgot were synced to our shared expense account. She even once used our joint credit card for champagne. Rookie mistake. Next came the prints. I printed everything, labeled each piece, sorted it into a clean black folder. I called it the Book of Reality. Then I started thinking bigger. Her parents, old school, church-going, loved me. They once told Leona I was the kind of man women pray for. I started writing a letter to them. Respectful, honest, no venom, just facts and attachments. I wanted them to feel the contrast between the Brandon they loved and the Leona they thought they knew. Then came Michael's wife. Yes, he had it. Jessica, 2 kids, PTA treasurer, the whole suburban fantasy package. I found her Facebook in 5 minutes. I drafted a message, didn't send it yet. I wanted to time it right, let the detonation ripple outward. But the pièce de résistance? A letter to Leona. Not a breakup note. A eulogy. A calm, brutally clear document detailing what I knew, what I'd collected, and what was coming next. I titled it, Since I'm Just the Neighbor. It included dates of the affairs, screenshots of the conversations, screenshots of Michael's married status, the name of my attorney, a polite list of items I would be taking from the house, and one final line, consider this the last thing I'll ever do for you out of love. By the end of the week, everything was ready. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. Just done. By Friday evening, everything was ready. I had the folder, neat, thorough, damning, labeled dates, message transcripts, screenshots, hotel receipts, even a note on the back. Read carefully, then look in the mirror. She was in the shower when I walked downstairs. I set the folder on the dining table, right where she'd see it first thing. Not hidden, not dramatic, just placed. No confrontation, no yelling, no last words. Let the evidence speak. She thought I was a doormat. She was about to trip over me on her way out the door. I wasn't leaving yet, not until she read it. I just wanted to be somewhere else in the house when the lies finally choked her. I was in the kitchen pouring coffee when I heard it. That sound of paper slapping the table, the sharp intake of breath, the creak of the chair as she stood up fast. Then, footsteps. Then, her voice, cutting through the hallway like a blade. What the hell is this? She stormed in, holding the black folder I had left on the dining table like it was radioactive. Seriously, what is this? You printed out my private messages? Are you kidding me right now? I took a sip of coffee. It was still hot. No, not kidding. This is insane. This is actual stalker behavior, Brandon. I raised an eyebrow. That word again. You want to talk about behavior? Let's. Preferably the kind that happens in hotel rooms booked under your name. Preferably the kind where your coworker calls you goddess while I'm home making you dinner. She blinked, just for a second, then reset. Defensive mode. You were never present. You just faded into the background. Always there, always safe, always boring. You vacuumed more than you touched me. And you cheated more than you spoke to me. Silence. You think this is being a man? Spying, printing, sending threats like a bitter ex? No. Being a man would have meant slamming this folder on the dinner table in front of your parents. I chose not to. You sent this to my parents? Not yet, but I will. You're blowing this out of proportion. It was, she faltered. It wasn't serious. I laughed, cold and low. So it was just casual betrayal? Oh, thank God. And here I thought you actually had feelings for him. Her voice cracked a little. It didn't mean anything. I needed something that reminded me I was alive. And I was what? A corpse? A pillow with arms? She looked away. Guilt flickered, then vanished. She folded her arms. You made it easy to walk past you. You became invisible. No, I said. You just stopped looking. And when you did look, you saw a man who made your life easy. So easy you thought you could humiliate him and get away with it. It was just a joke. Yeah. And now you're the punchline. She didn't say anything. Her jaw tightened. Her fingers clenched the folder until the pages inside began to crumple. I finished my coffee and set the mug in the sink. You have until noon to read every page. Then I send it. To your parents. To your boss. To his wife. You wouldn't. I would. I printed 2 copies. Yours is here. Mine's already scanned and uploaded. She didn't move, didn't speak. I walked past her, calm, picked up my keys. My suitcase was already packed. Oh, and by the way, I stopped in the doorway. I've never actually met a neighbor lady who left like this. Then I closed the door behind me. I didn't go far, just parked in the corner of an empty grocery store lot, killed the engine, and sat in the driver's seat with the windows cracked. Cold air, quiet morning, the kind of silence that didn't ask for anything. I needed that. After everything I said in that house, after everything she did, I didn't want noise. I wanted stillness, to hear myself again. I turned off my phone, let it rest like a corpse, and for about 2 hours, I just existed. When I finally turned it back on, the screen lit up like a crisis center. 9 missed calls, 14 messages, 1 voicemail, 2 new numbers. The first wave was expected. Where are you? We need to talk. You seriously left? That's how you handle things? You're acting like a damn child. This is emotional blackmail, you realize that, right? Ah, there it was. The shift from panic to blame. Then it twisted again. Please don't send it. Just don't do anything, okay? Can we talk? I'll explain everything. I didn't answer. Around noon, the second wave hit. First, a text from her father. Just 1 sentence. Tell me this isn't true. Then a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring. It went straight to voicemail. A minute later, another text from Leona. Did you tell them? My dad just called me. He's freaking out. Then, Michael's wife found the messages. She emailed me. Brandon, what did you do? That one made me pause, because I hadn't done anything. Then another text message came. He says I ruined his life, that I should have controlled it. You think this is funny? You destroyed everything. And finally, the last message, about 3 hours later. You win. I stared at that one for a long time, not because I believed it, but because for the first time in weeks, it didn't sound like her. It didn't sound smug. It didn't sound rehearsed. It sounded hollow, like something broke inside her, and she couldn't quite tell where the crack started. Too late. You don't get to humiliate someone, rewrite the rules, then plead mercy when the mirror finally turns on you. I turned off my phone again, and for the first time since she called me a neighbor lady, I smiled. 2 days passed. I stayed off the radar. No social media, no mutual friends, no calls returned. I let the world wonder where I was, because for once, I wasn't wondering where she was. Then on Sunday evening, just before sunset, she found me. I don't know how. Maybe some shared GPS still hadn't been unlinked. Maybe she asked the right friend. Didn't matter. I heard the knock on my motel room door and knew, not by the sound, but by the silence after it. The kind of silence that carries guilt like perfume. I opened the door. She looked hollow. Hair pulled back like she hadn't cared how she looked, but makeup on like she had. Her eyes were red. Her jaw stiff. She held her phone like a shield. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. Didn't say yes. Didn't say no. She walked in slowly like the floor might collapse under her. Sat down on the edge of the bed, looked around the room like it offended her. "This is where you've been staying?" I didn't answer. She looked down. "I've been trying to talk to you." "I know. Everyone knows. My dad isn't speaking to me. Michael's gone. He said it's too messy, that I made it all worse." "You did." She flinched. "Look, I messed up, okay? I know I did. I got lost. I thought I needed something else, but you didn't deserve how I treated you. Any of it." "No, I didn't. I said stupid things. The neighbor thing. It was a joke. It was mean, but I didn't think you'd take it so personally." I laughed once, sharp and fast. "You called me boring, predictable, said I was like a fern. You were with another man while I was home folding your laundry. You didn't just break trust. You shattered a whole person." Silence. She looked up, and for the first time, tears. Real ones, maybe. "I want to fix this." I stared at her for a moment. At the eyes I once fell in love with. At the hands that used to hold mine in crowded rooms. At the lips that said vows, and then spit on them years later. "You don't fix a house by repainting the ashes." She said nothing. "You didn't just break trust. You broke us. The version of us that existed in my mind. It's dead. You killed it." She swallowed hard. Tried again. "Can we at least talk? One last dinner? One night to—" "No." She looked like she'd been slapped. The silence stretched so long I thought she might stand up and walk out, but instead she whispered, "Are you going to divorce me?" I stood. "I already did," in my head. "The paperwork's just a formality now." She nodded, slow, mechanical. "You won't even try?" "You didn't leave me a marriage to try with." I walked to the door and opened it. She stayed seated for a moment, frozen in place. Then finally, she rose, walked past me. No hug, no apology, just one final glance back, hope clinging to her like smoke on burned walls. I didn't say goodbye. She didn't either. Some stories don't end with a period. They just stop. I used to replay every moment in our marriage like a tape I couldn't turn off. Where did it start to break? Was it when she got promoted? When I stopped trying to surprise her? Was it me? Now? Now I know better. Some people don't want love. They want validation. They want drama, the chase, the tension, the passion. And when they finally get something steady, warm, loyal, they treat it like it's disposable, like a background character in their movie. That's what I was to her. A man who made her life easier. Until ease became boring. Until stability felt like suffocation. But I'm not her background anymore. And I'm not her husband. I signed the divorce papers 2 weeks later. No hesitation. No final talk. She didn't contest anything. She knew. Her parents reached out. They apologized, not for her, but to me. I told them they didn't need to. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. Michael vanished. Office gossip ate them both alive. I didn't care. Their little story was over. So was mine, at least that chapter. I moved into a new place. Nothing fancy. Just mine. Got a dog. Started cooking again. Not for someone else, but for me. I went back to writing. Short stories mostly. One of them had a line that stuck with me. "Some people leave you broken. Others just show you where you've been bleeding this whole time." Leona didn't destroy me. She revealed the wounds I ignored. And by walking away, I finally let them heal. Sometimes people ask if I'll ever forgive her. The truth? I already did. Not because she deserves it, but because I do. because carrying her around in my chest would mean she still owns space there. And she doesn't. Not anymore.